Hello, Mechwarriors, and welcome to the Mechbay, where we fix your mech and fix your game. What's going on, Mechwarriors? I'm your host, Josh, and today I've got with me my co-hosts, Denham and Dustin in the hot seats. What's going on, gentlemen?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing well.
Not much, just enjoying Mother's Day as much as one can.
Oh, man, you're dating the podcast.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
flowers.
Today we're talking about Mech Design Quirks for the tabletop. But first, as always, let's get that Battle Mech coolant flowing with some hobby news, hobby progress, and some fan mail. So we're coming off of the big news of the big Battletech release, which we pretty much did a whole episode on. So what news could we have in the last, 2 weeks?
I saw a sketch of the Vedette. If you're following Scroggins' Patreon, you'll have seen it too. It looks good. That's about all the news I've seen.
What about you, Denham? Any news that we missed besides, of course, the big Kerensky Con?
Yeah, I'll let you talk about Kerensky Con. It has been slow news since the big release. So,
I mean, once you have a big girthy drop like that. It's kind of
girthy.
It's kind of hard to follow. So, so they had Kerensky Con, and we got to see pictures of all the new mechs that we were teased and had to dig around. So, looking at that, we've got the new Goliath and Scorpion sculpts. I don't know. Quads look weird, man.
Quads always have looked weird.
Whatever. I'm still going to get them.
I like the Scorpion more than I like the Goliath. The Goliath just always looks like a headless horse to me.
I prefer that than the swiggity swooty Scorpion.
He's coming for that booty.
I don't know. I've always liked the Goliath since, since Dugrim, the old anime.
Oh, is it an unseen mech? I guess
yeah. It came out in the same anime that the ShadowHawk and Griffin, the Goliath, the Savannah Master, all of those came from Dugrim.
Dang, they couldn't come up with their own hovercraft.
Well, they didn't have to. I mean, that was the beauty of it. They went to this trade show. They found a bunch of art. They licensed it, and they're like, perfect, because none of us are artists. So, but we need mechs. We need these things to have a game.
We have pictures of actual models of the new vehicles and one of the VTOLs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that Ontos looks good.
Is that a Pegasus?
I mean, considering hard to tell what most of these are, I'm going to go with yes. Looks like Pegasus and maybe a Harasser or something.
Oh, yeah, it could just be a Harasser. Oh, yeah, the Pegasus has 2 SRM racks on the top, so it might just be the Harasser. I like the wheeled vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a Striker, probably.
Striker, yeah. Something.
But what about the first plastic VTOL?
Bring a chopper to the Alpha Strike game. I'm down.
It's being legitimized.
We got a plastic sculpt of the Ost Scout. I mean, the metal that was a choice sculpt so that one.
I kind of feel like, did we really need a plastic Ost Scout? Considering they just have like I own the metal one of the exact same.
I do too, yeah.
Oh, so if you own the metal one, then none of us need the plastic one. I get it. No, that's cool.
No, it's not that. It's the, okay, we've already, that is a purchasable Scout exactly how it is. Now they have an exact same one. No difference, but in plastic. I'm like.
At the end of the day, I'll take plastic over metal. Because if you knock your metal miniature over, you get that little chip and it's kind of drives you nutty.
Yeah, I mean, this is some old man yells at cloud stuff, but.
Yeah.
We got the Assassin. We got Quick Draw. We got the
Hermes.
Caesar. I never thought we'd
too.
have the Caesar.
Is that what that thing is with the
weird
with
antenna?
The antenna? It's got an antenna, yeah.
It almost looks like a Word of Blake mech. It's like a with that silhouette. Anyways.
So we're talking about all these pictures that no one else can see. I don't know how fair that is.
Don't worry, we'll put the link in the description. But if you haven't, it's just like I said, just Google Kerensky Con photos, and it'll take you right to it. And we had a bunch of people. I'd like to thank Kesser Drac on Reddit for putting and collecting all of the photos that everyone took, because we had some from different sources, so they were kind enough to collect them all.
Is that a Star Slayer?
Yes. Remember we talked in the last episode? There was a Star Slayer on the
I like how
cover
you
of something.
ask, but if you scroll down like one more picture, they're all labeled.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Nice. The cicada looks good.
Cicada actually looks chunky.
Yeah.
I think the cicada, the Hermes 2, and the Firestarter have had some big glow-ups.
My Merrick heart is so happy about the Hermes too.
Do y'all see the size of that Bane in the background, though?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And Cadillac on legs.
But yeah, new beginner box art looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
And we see the Alpha Strike box set. What are we calling these? Proofs? They're the orange plastic, so these aren't the finals. These are the test.
I wish they didn't put another Griffin in the beginner box, but what do you do?
Well, that's the only place you can get a Griffin.
Oh, is it the exclusive?
Yeah, that's why they swapped out the Wolverine, is because you could get the Wolverine in the regular box set. So the Griffin is the only one you can get in the beginner box, and now and also the Vindicator. So it's 2 unique mechs.
Awesome. Alpha Strike cover looking cool. Got that Pouncer. Is that what that thing's called?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we're not going to spend too long on this.
What is Krinsky Con?
If you backed the Kickstarter and you backed it with $1 bajillion, you were part of the Krinsky level, and Krinsky level gets all kinds of stuff, including their own con that is just for Krinskys.
Okay. All right.
If I remember right, the price tag attached to that is 5,000 C-bills.
5,000 US C-bills.
It's a lot of smack. I see Jordan Wiseman.
It was a lot.
You got Randall Bills, Michael Stackpole. You had a bunch of high-level people.
Got the name dropping. Randall Bills, Jordan Wiseman.
But the big thing is we saw Battletech Command, which essentially looked like a board game.
I was almost talked into playtesting this like years and years ago.
Yeah, I place tested that. Did I?
The issue with the playtest is that you had to like print a bajillion things out and like glue them together. And I was like, I can't do this.
There was a lot of assembly required, and the game has changed from what it looks like. It has changed quite a bit from the playtest that I did.
Okay.
Anyway,
we also had the cons playing with supersized mechs.
Yeah, those were cool.
Big 3D prints or something.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were. Do you know what size they were, Josh?
Not off the top of my head.
But they looked really good. They did a good job. But they kept stressing, these are not products. These are not future products. These are just us having fun.
28 millimeter.
They had some at the Gen Con years ago when they had a couple of Game of Armor combat boxes that made it into the wild at that Gen Con. God, that must have been like 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, they had all the Game of Armored combat sculpts printed like in FDM prints. They were all like 6 inches tall. They were playing on a giant hex map. Looked fun.
Yeah, that was nifty. Like that map. I wanted that map. It was awesome.
Give me that map.
But yeah, so like I said, Battletech Command, like I said, looks like a board game. You've got lances of mechs per hex, and you just walk around. I feel like you just play like normal Battletech, kind of like Alpha Strike, maybe. I don't know.
To me, it feels more like that game Stratego.
Yeah.
Just kind of a little bit. It's definitely not just playing Battletech, though. It is.
It has a fog of war element, right?
Yeah. Like those the pieces you see aren't exactly what you're using. They're just representations, and then you flip over what it actually is.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Wish we could do that on the tabletop. Technically, you can, but that's what do we call it? MMO, Mega Mech only.
Yeah.
But what did you guys think of the 28 millimeter Battletech miniatures? Like,
they look beautiful. Gimme, but they're not products. So
what is it? Ray went out of his way to triple underline that these are not test for a future product, and not to expect them to ever see retail release. So this was a con exclusive perk to playing with Battletech with 6-inch high Marauders.
Printed.
Yeah. Because, you're a Kerensky backer. You paid $5,000. You deserve some toys.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyways, that was a big event. That was the news, really. We also had, technically last week, and we didn't throw that in there, but we had the Ironman Metals price increase.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's true. How much did it go up by?
All right, so I kept my tracking spreadsheet essentially. Well, I mean, this is what I do.
Josh buys and resells Ironman medals.
I do not. I do
Buy
not
low,
think
sell high.
I do not have my entire life savings in.
Does anybody want a
Ironman
regiment of
medals pure.
Panthers? I've invested.
Essentially across the board, like a 10 to 20% increase in prices, which is about what we expected. An Ironwind Metals Atlas is essentially $20, but a Catalyst plastic Atlas comes in a box with 3 other mechs for $30, essentially, depending on where you're buying it and if it has a discount or not. We are now seeing, in my opinion, the price shifting to hard to justify for Ironwind Metals prices.
I mean, it was for me, it was always hard to justify, but if you drive to the factory, you can get a huge discount.
But not everybody can do that.
No, they can't. So
it is going to be a lot more rare for people to get big metal orders now that they can get most of their favorites in plastics.
Yeah.
But until all the mechs are in plastics, I think what's going to happen is that Ironwinds is going to find that the more niche mechs are going to sell a lot better.
I heard this somewhere from somebody. Whenever Battletech is selling plastic, they sell more metal. So yeah.
I mean, that would make sense because if you're trying to fill out like a whole army or something, then
there's
you're
no plastic Kefir.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I mean, they all still have all of the battle armor. So you get your elementals. That's it from Catalyst. You want any kind of other power armor, you got to go to them.
Like, I wanted a Nodachi. There is no plastic Nodachi.
How many versions of the Mad Cat are there? But we'll see our next one soon in plastic. Technically,
I know. Very excited.
I know I will definitely have to take a second look and justify, like, okay, do I need another, I don't know, Mongoose Gunslinger for $10 when I can just be just as happy with the Comstar level 2 box?
And you get 5 other mechs with it.
And I get 5 other mechs.
I do wonder if we'll see price increases on the plastic because shipping containers costs a lot to ship a shipping container these days too.
Yeah, I mean that was why our toys were delayed for so long.
That's right.
Because I don't want to do too much, looking into the future, but I'm expecting this Kickstarter to have a higher, price point to get to the same level.
Yeah, of course.
What do you think, Denham?
That hurts my wallet, but yeah.
It hurts our wallet, but I think that's why they let us know so far in advance, because they could be like, hey, we've got it coming. We can't give prices right now because we don't know the situation
right
then. So once we commit to a cost, we'll give you the cost. And I doubt that they will increase it post. But yeah.
Well, I hope that they are more realistic with their stretch goals this time. Like, I know they did some crazy ones last one because they never thought they'd get to those levels, and they did. And then they're like, oh, we have to deliver this. That's not great. So
I remember the fulfillment company was like, this is the largest and most complicated Kickstarter we've ever helped out with. CrowdOx or whatever. Yeah.
They had to rewrite a lot of their code and redo their whole site just for the Battletech Kickstarter. Yeah.
Were there any stretch goals that burned you out? You were like, you can't do that. Stop it. Or that you just think that they didn't commit to well enough and the final product suffered?
The dice one, of course, everyone complains about, but they've never had any problems with dice. So that was an unexpected twist. Like, they were very shocked to find out that the dice was not good. But
Board Game Company orders dice.
Yeah.
Comes with one extra side. Everyone's confused.
These dice make my brain hurt.
Hexagons, no, we got heptagons. But that's enough Battletech news, and let's talk about some hobby progress, though. Anyone done anything lately? Getting some painting done?
Printed some more terrain. I'm excited about terrain because of the new battle mats they just released. Oh, look, news. Great. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. They just released new battle mats.
When?
Wait, really?
While we're recording?
Like today, yes.
Oh, you're killing me.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry. I'm gonna have to talk about this. I just remembered.
Are they on Catalyst?
Yes. They are only. When should I start talking about this?
Right now. Just do it now. Announcements. There we go.
Just do it.
Oh, there we go. Yep, do it. Redemption rights.
They just new battle mats just hit the store today at the Catalyst store. If the interest is high enough, they will go to retail sellers, but for now it's Catalyst store only.
Retail sellers with neoprene?
Yeah. So remember the original 4 neoprene ones had 2 Gasland maps on one side and then some special maps on the other, like Savannah or the Lunarscape or whatever. So this time it's going to be 2 of the desert map pack on one side and then one of the Alien Worlds maps on the other side. So you'll be able to get all of your Alien Worlds in neoprene and all of your desert maps on the other side. They're going to be cool. Or they are cool. I've seen them.
Do like the lunar-based sand drifts? What?
Yeah.
Oh, but fungal crevice washout too.
Why can I never find this stuff?
Go to the store.catalyst and it's right there.
On the front page or something?
Well, when you have to scroll down to Battletech.
All right, so you go to bg.battletech.com and then you go to the news tab, which is very hidden. I've got to admit this. Catalyst, if you're listening, you need like 4 things if you go to battletech.com. You don't need new to Battletech, forums, universe. No, you need like 3. You need like news, store, and that's it.
Well, it needs to be spaced out a little bit more too, because that white strip of letters across the top just looks like one long word.
You mean you're not home new to Battletech? Question mark. Mall forums, comma, news books. Everyone loves news books. But yeah, no, I will. I can either get 1.5 atlases or I could get 1 Battlemat Alien Worlds, but also Battlemat BFM for $160 is back on sale.
You can use mine.
I want to finish the game in a day.
Well, it's for those people with the clan stars that move, minimum 7-11-7. Give them a little maneuvering space. But you definitely have to have objectives when using that map. It can't just be a slugfest.
Yeah,
too many places to hide.
Yeah, I think I'll probably get the lunar base one, so I can put that with my original Wave 2 lunar one.
Yeah,
lunar. But $30 for a mat's not bad at all. Like
no, they're good. Like we use them all the time.
They are nice.
So thank you for that news update, Mr. Denham.
Yeah, sorry, just remembered.
No, you're fine. Let's go back to hobby progress. Dustin, what have you gotten done lately?
I painted a battle cobra.
Whoa. But you didn't just paint it, though. You used techniques, you used knowledge, some non-metallic metals,
Oh, I did. I ended up tapping out.
How do you forget that you were, doing some brand new technique? Like, I'm disappointed.
It didn't, it wasn't convincing. But I tried it and I will try it again. I did I was trying to get the sky and then the horizon and the dirt and reflection or whatever. And then I ended up throwing true metallics on top, but I'll take another stab at it at some point in the future.
But it looks good. I really like it. Denham, what have you gotten done lately?
Started printing some more terrain, but I haven't done any painting. Dustin just reminded me that I too need to work on my basing. All my basing is one of 2 types, and I want to do more. So my hobby progress has been meditation and preparation, not progress and action.
That's okay.
Josh, did you get any hobby progress for you?
I got a lot of hobby progress. I'm gonna put you guys to shame.
What have you been up to?
I assembled an Avatar, a Sunder, the Tomahawk 2 that I got from last Southern Assault.
Yeah.
And told myself I would never assemble because that's way too many pieces for way too big of a mech.
I think it's 16. Is it 16 pieces?
It's 16.
Yeah. I remember my Tomahawk. I was like, oh my God.
Foot, lower leg, upper leg, torso
guns.
Yeah, right and left torso gun, top of mech. What would it be? Shoulder to elbow, and then gun for each arm. And I'm like, why? Who made this?
Yeah, when you said you assembled your avatar, the first thing that popped into my head was I have an unassembled avatar as well in the garage because it's the Connects one, and that's got a lot more than 16 pieces. I should pull that out and make my kids rebuild those.
But yeah, these are the. Oh, did I say chameleon? I finally.
No, you didn't.
I assembled the chameleon you gave me, Denham. So
nice.
My training mech is now legal.
I cannot wait to see that one painted.
Yeah, the Avatar and the Sunder, I'm not a super big fan of these sculpts. They were free, so I'm not going to complain too much. Gift horse mouth, but Man, we really need to move the timeline up so I can get some plastic Intercer Omnis. But yeah, so I've got those. I now have to decide who to paint them as, but that's fine. I also got some Maelstrom's Edge plastic models assembled. Well, I should say half assembled, because, you don't realize, but you get spoiled working on plastic Games Workshop models for so long. Then you go to like another third-party company that does plastic minis, and you're like, okay, where's my instruction booklet?
Right.
Hold my hand, please. And the options are great. Like, they look great. It's just, okay, not everything's meant to like 100% fit with stuff. So
yeah, and you got to pretty much, I remember back in the old days anyway, the instructions was to go find the technical readout that the mech was in and look at the picture, because the model was always based on that picture, and it's so hard to figure out on some of those pictures where these pieces go.
But I have all of my Battletech assembled, so now all of my Battletech stuff can be primed, and I love not having bare plastic or metal mechs. But
someday I'll know what that feels like. Not this year.
But yeah, that's my hobby progress. A lot of assembly, because I'm trying to get more space on the actual painting desk back. I glued a hovercraft to a base. That took a lot. It's not a lot of work, but it takes a lot mentally. And Justin knows that I'm not one to put vehicles on hexes.
I was going to say my problem with putting vehicles on hexes are the fact that you can have two vehicles and a mech in the same hex. So if I have a vehicle on a hex, it gets very awkward when I'm trying to squish things in.
Yeah, so that took a lot. I'm not even proud of it. But all the rest of my vehicles can go on the Death Ray Designs hexes that I got. So
nice.
Yeah, what is it? I have the Battlefield Mud ones, which I'm going to put all of my Comstar vehicles on. And then I've got the Phobos Wasteland, which I'm going to put all of my Diamond Shark battle armor, because I've got a lot of weird VTOL battle armors for them that you do on weird hexes. But yeah, like I said, I really like the Death Ray Design pre-done ones. So what are you gonna do? Sue me. But yeah, so that's all my hobby progress.
Games played?
Oh my goodness, do I have games played?
Me too.
You played a lot of games.
Oh my god, yeah.
I even played a game. I've played a lot of Battletech lately.
I think I have more games than both of you combined.
I'm sure you played more in one day than I have in the past month.
2 of these are against me, sir.
Yep, that is true.
I had another intro game. I tried a slightly different style this time. I brought 2 lances and let the new guy pick 2 mechs. I said, pick 2 mechs. And then I picked 2 mechs that were in a similar weight class, the same weight class. And then we threw them on the map and played the game.
The old Intro Tech 2v2 Solaris style.
Had a good time. I think I hooked another Battletech player. So they thought the game was dead. They're like, oh my God, people play this game. And I'm like, boy, do they. We have a community here. Welcome.
Yeah.
Dead. Oh my gosh. What are you talking about?
It's still alive. So yeah.
We just took it off life support. We got a whole second win.
That's right. So it's good.
All right. What about you, Denham?
Oh man, I played so much Battletech since last time, because normally I do my every other Tuesdays I play Battletech. I had some people saying that they wanted to catch up on some missions that we hadn't done, so I made a special weekend appearance, and I was there at the store from open until close on Saturday.
Woo!
And that was a long time.
How many coffees?
Oh, several, like lots of coffees. We played quite a few mission games, but we also did blind box draft that I had been talking about a few times that I wanted to try.
How did that go?
I've done 3 of those now, and every single time it is amazing.
Do you adjust pilot skills to kind of even out the battle value?
I was going to go over that. What I do.
Oh, good. Do it.
Yeah. So I've got my laptop with me when I do these. The trick is to not let them touch these salvage boxes are set aside just for this. Like I open up a fresh case. People have come to me and they said, "Oh, I just want to buy a salvage box from you." And I'm like, I'm not the store. I don't do that. Like, these are for this. You buy these from me for the blind box tournament game. You're not allowed to touch them. So they open up the case. You look, you point at the one you want. I hand it to you, and then you go open it up. So nobody's allowed to shake them or weigh them or anything like that. So then once everybody opens them, then they tell me what mech it is, and I've got my laptop there, so I open up Mega Mech, and I'll look through and go through the different variants of the mech. I find that between 2400 and 2500 BV is the sweet spot for almost every mech. Like I can massage a mech with its variant in the pilot and gunnery to get them all right there, within like 100 BV of each other.
Whoa.
And it works super, super well. I think the only time I had to cheat a little bit was when somebody had a King Crab, a Warhammer 2C, and a Jenner.
Oh God!
And I tried and I tried and I tried.
Belong.
What I ended up doing though was just like cheating a little and making it on paper a Jenner 2C, and then a Jenner 2C with a 1-2 gunner pilot. Woo! Brought it right in there at 24.
Wow.
2480 something BV, and so it was right in line with all the other mechs, and it was fantastic. Like it was doing really, really well. Now, if anybody hit it, I think if anyone hit it twice, it was just gone. But it was, it was getting a +5, +6 modifier jumping into woods because it was, it's a 914 9 mech. It was a great time. All three of these games that I've played, everyone has had a fantastic time, and they just want to do it again. And the only reason why we stopped doing it is because the store ran out of salvage boxes. But the store I play at just got 11 more cases. So it's back on the menu.
11 more crates of drugs.
That's right. 11 more cases of 9 salvage boxes each. But they go fast.
I'm going to do the math real quick. That's almost 100. But no, that's great. So if I remember correctly, because I wasn't doing that, I was just playing regular Battletech.
Mm-hmm.
It is the winner gets the first pick of the lot.
Yes,
because you're doing like free for alls, like
right. It's free for all, and I limit it to 4. We can only have 4 players. I like to have exactly 4. But you're right. The player who is the last mech standing gets the pick of one of those 4 mechs that he or she gets to walk home with. And then second place gets second choice, third place gets third choice, fourth place gets whatever's left. But so far in all of these, I have never seen anyone upset at the mech that they ended up with. Everyone has been super happy with it.
That's great. No, that's awesome. For our second game, I gave you your introductory course on Alpha Strike because not only do we have the Nova Open that we're going to, where we'll be playing 200 PV games, we all have Southern Assault 2 coming up.
All right. Monday.
But yeah, so I gave you your first true, like, big game.
Definitely the biggest Alpha Strike, because I have played the starter, the intro rules once before, and like we've already discussed, the intro rules are outdated. They leave a lot to be desired. They don't give a full representation of the game. So this is my first game using the actual rulebook, the Alpha Strike Commanders Edition rulebook. It was interesting. I had to think about it for a long time afterwards before I decided that I had fun. It looks so much like Battletech, but when you get down into it, it so much isn't. And then it turns out that that's okay. It's okay to not be Battletech. Animal. I could bring 2 or 3 lances and still be done in under 3 hours.
Oh yeah,
which is amazing. Like that's the battlefields look so amazing. It makes up for the fact that the riflemen can't flip arms, or none of my mechs ever fall down.
Just wait. There's things we'll talk about where it can do that. But yeah, no, it was great. I would like to point out that there was a point in our game, in our introductory game, where you thought you had completely lost and wanted to shake hands.
3 or 4 turns in, I looked at this and I'm like, okay, I've lost. And the only thing that stopped me from saying, Josh, let's call it, was that this was my first introductory game. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's just see how this plays out. I want to play this all the way through, see what other nifty things I can pick up from this, any notes that I can get. And then everything turned around. It was amazing.
So what was your high point and your low point in your first true game?
I would say the low point was having my catapult get 2 motives and overheating as well. It went from a viable mech to a turret that couldn't hit anything pretty fast. Luckily, it was close enough to the middle objective point that it was still at least a threat that it had to be dealt with. So that was the only bonus on that. I'd say the high point was my Warhammer shooting from across the map at your archer and just doing some good damage on that. So yeah, if anyone wants to play me at Nova, sign on up. Let's go. Bring it.
Let's do some quick mail. So we've got Jared. Jared writes, "Hey guys, I know there was a lot of information to go over, but I didn't hear mention of some of the news in the very last paragraph. It said, keep an eye out for future announcements of sourcebooks such as the Brush Wars PDF series, Mech Commander's Handbook, and Ill Clan Eyes Only, and other Battletech tabletop game experiences such as Battletech Command, Resurgent Empires, a Succession Works game, and more. We have nothing but titles to work with, but I was curious to hear your crew's thoughts on this, especially the mention of new game experiences. Battletech, Command, and Resurgent Empires both sound like strategic level games. I'm with Denham on wanting to experience the Battletech universe on that level. P.S. I'm very sad I don't live near Denham because I would play Battle Force with them." Aww.
Hey, Josh, you promised to ship me out, so
That's true.
let's get some packing peanuts.
Drop ships moving, boys. Throw them in. But no, thanks for writing in, Jared. You're right. We did not go over that because we all knew KarinskyCon was coming, and I had hoped to see more of these, and rather than spend 30 minutes speculating, just get some quick pictures and possibly more stuff to talk about. But alas, all we saw was Battletech Command, which still looks great, but I'm not wanting to, grasp at straws too much.
Exactly. Like the best we could have done is just read them all out loud. And everything we know about it is everything you guys know about it. So until we get some news, we were running out of time already.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break, see what's happening in the mech stores, and then we're going to quirk it. Quirk it real good. Fortress Miniatures and Games has the new line of Ottoman terrain, so if you aren't set on being pop-up terrain people when the new Alpha Strike box comes out, you can go full 3D with the Ottoman Mall, Garage, and School, and then customize it with all the greebles you can glue on them. And if you and your merc company are going on campaign, Ares Games and Miniatures has all the new Hardware Studios dropships to take you there, along with a full restock of Stratos minis, Death Rays Designs tanks and vehicles, which go great as stand-ins for battlefield support or regular units. Do you have what it takes to be a gunslinger? The Second Star League is holding tryouts for the coolest duelist and the baller brawlers as we take the fight to the clan homeworlds. Volunteers for the new Gunslinger program are guaranteed full medical and therapy coverage upon acceptance. Don't have your own mech or just a shell from the Succession Wars? Don't worry, our techs will be sure to fill you up with the best new tech around. All you have to do is beat your way through our 10 drill sergeant pilots in one-on-one fights, and then you're ready to take on the entire clan army. So if you think you've got the reactor, sign up today to be a gunslinger. So you want each chassis to be unique and flavorful, but independent of the weapons and tech. So someone, somewhere, somehow decided to slap these things called design quirks onto their mechs. But what are design quirks? Denham, when I say the word design quirk, what pops in your head?
I definitely think about things that make the chassis in Battletech unique. Because if you're designing a mech, you can make all your mechs can be basically identical, and this is what sets them apart on a basic level.
What about you, Dustin?
It's an extra layer of flavor on top of a chassis. You get extra layers of flavor with different variants, but a quirk kind of ties the whole chassis back together for me. It's kind of the way that I think about quirks.
When I hear them, I hear plus 13 points to structure, plus 6 degrees arm twist. But that's just, my
increased torso twist speed.
But that's because,
10% ballistic.
How long did you play MechWarrior Online? That's.
But no, we're talking about classic and Alpha Strike quirks because quirks apply to both game systems.
Oh, do they?
They do.
Just like the
learn something every day.
Yeah, I was going to say just like the special pilot abilities, but
All right. To quote, quirks are intended to increase the depth of gameplay, providing rules for otherwise unsupported features mentioned in game fiction. They come in both positive and negative flavors. Yeah, no, I think that pretty much describes it.
I didn't know that it was tied to game fiction, but that does make sense.
Really? Oh, that's right. You didn't read a lot of the books or anything, did you?
Not until recently, no.
So for those of us who used to play back in the old days, that was the big thing, is that we would read books and they would mention this, and you'd see like the 16 mechs that we had. They had very distinct art, and the quirks were a way to tie that art into the fiction of the universe and really fluff it out. Like it really felt like it fit, like it needed to be there.
So back when there weren't enough mechs, there was an extra layer of flavor that, well, I guess it wasn't, quirks weren't around back then, right?
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that we didn't have quirks, but it was added for that extra fluff. When we started, there were 16 mechs, so we had to design all the mechs, that we wanted to play with. So mech design was a huge part of the game. And then as they added extra technical readouts and things, people are like, well, this mech is virtually the same as this mech, but look at that. It should have blah, blah, this. It should have blah, blah, that. And enough of the developers are like, yeah, you're right. So let's add this fluff in there and actually make that stuff matter. So quirks are fluffy.
I would argue they're not fluffy enough, but I'll get to that.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. But so let's go to the next one. Do they completely change mechs? Like if you had never played with quirks before, and now you're wanting to kind of zhuzh up your standard. Okay, I only play with the mechs that came in the Game of Armored Combat, and now I want to like run the exact same mechs for the next year, and now play with quirks. Do they completely change them?
I don't feel that they do. No,
what? Oh,
I don't.
Yes, I feel like they do.
Really?
Some of them hugely. Others, of course, not so much, but some completely. And I'll talk about, I picked one specifically to talk about in depth because of this. Yeah. The most changiest of changey ones.
I feel that what they do is they add flavor to the mechs that I've already known and played, and it adds flavor that just makes sense.
See, it totally turns them into different beast to me. Well,
good. I look forward to talking to you about this.
All right.
I wanted to put this here, and I was like, what are quirks not actually? So we've said they're essentially fiction nudging, flavor. They're not ways to fix mechs or buff mechs for the gameplay, at least in my opinion.
Reading through the list, it may seem like they are buffs or nerfs, but that is not their intent, and that is not that is not what they're designed for. I agree with that.
They don't make a huge difference, but they do make a difference. Some I would consider hamstraining, and others a little buffy, but
they're not meant to balance. Like they're not meant to take an overpowered mech and nerf it, or take a mech that doesn't perform as well. In fact, a lot of times they take the mech that doesn't perform as well, and it makes it perform even worse.
Yes, indeed.
But in a historically accurate, flavorful way, in my opinion. Which takes me back to the whole tournament things. Like they are not listed as battle value modifiers. They're not. That
would be a nightmare.
They don't balance anything at all. It's not designed for that.
These are definitely ways to like enhance your campaign that is kind of stale. That if you were stuck in intro tech, I would throw quirks in, because then you would have like there are quirks to adjust resale value and buying value. So like just things like that can completely change how you run a campaign. Parts, repairs, little things like that.
100%. I could not agree with you more. The whole quirk system is not meant for tournament play. Right. Definitely meant for people running a serious like role playing centric campaign for sure. Like this is definitely stuff that really gets into the nitty gritty flavor of the universe as told by the authors who wrote the books in the 80s and 90s. They put their own spin on mechs because of how the pictures looked in the technical readouts and all the fluff that they wrote in the technical readouts. This is where all that comes into play. And it just adds so much more depth to a game of Battletech that I think it needed. And I would be sad if no one ever used quirks.
Especially if you're doing the, Dungeons and Dragons style GM versus players. Yeah, excellent. And we're wandering a little bit into what kind of games you would prefer to play with them, I guess.
Definitely not, organized competitive pickup games. Like, I'm never going to go play a brand new player and say, oh, no, mine has rugged, or mine has, Cal. You do. I have 3 more points of head armor from that angle.
This is not something you want to surprise your opponent with, but it is in the Battle Mech manual. So if everybody agrees, hey, we're going to play with quirks this time, I'm all for it. I would say, okay, let me pull out my mechs, find out what quirks they have, and let's play with
quirky
those.
With it.
Yeah. I have no problems with a pickup game. I don't think I would ever want to play in a tournament with these.
No.
At all. Not at all.
We mentioned that. How many times have we actually played with quirks? Like, I'd want the honest answer.
Only in an RPG setting, and the last time was over 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it was a little bit after they came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've played quite a bit. I played some against the bot, some ATB on Megamech, and I turned quirks on for that. And that's where the majority of my experience with quirks comes from.
All right. See, I wasn't even counting that. You're right. I have recently, within the last 2 years, played with quirks on MMO, but on Megamech. But because it's Megamech, I don't think about it in the same way. The last time I seriously played with quirks was in my role-playing campaign. But to be honest, I do think about quirks a lot, especially when designing a lance. I'm like, well, if we ever do this with quirks, I like this, and this is really cool, and this mech could, like this will really hamper that one. Mm. So yeah, playing with quirks in Megamech, just to see how a battle went is different for me, just because I don't know it. If it's not a part of a role-playing campaign, it doesn't mean as much to me.
No, I mean, that's perfectly fine. I haven't played with them mainly because mechs that I choose just don't really have ones that would affect my day-to-day games. Like, they either have ones that...
Experimental.
Yeah. Sort of. Experimental mechs. Prototype obsolete. Difficult to maintain.
Yep.
Yeah. No, those are like, oh, what are the mechs Josh likes to play with? The ones that have quirks that mean he can't play with it. Thank you.
Yeah, especially in a campaign.
Yeah, so that is my biggest. I don't want to say I'm against quirks. I'm just want to put it out there that if you play with quirks, it's going to change how you play and what you play with.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, a lot of them have no effect on like a pickup game at all. Like
Trailer hitch.
Zero. Yeah, like
trailer hitch.
Searchlight.
A lot of these quirks. Actually, it's funny that you say searchlight, because anytime I play Megamech and I start taking torso hits, it's like, oh, you blew up your searchlight. I'm like,
but no, that's
a 12th searchlight we've lost this week. And everyone's like, what are they talking about? And it's because of quirks. Because quirks, a lot of quirks are turned on. Yeah, are turned on by default in Megamech, which is why I don't count it, because I'm not thinking about it. But yeah. So if you're not playing a campaign, a role playing based campaign, a lot of these quirks, like there's no real point in even bringing them up. But since Battletech is so much about campaigns and stuff like that, they included it in the Battle Mech manual. They included them in there. So they're available to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to put it out there that it is both possible to play with these in Alpha Strike and Classic Battletech. So I encourage everyone to at least try a full game with quirks on them. See how you like them. See how it changes it up. Just like get with your playgroup and say, hey, let's have a quirk day. And just take some weird mechs that have quirks and see how they work.
That, yeah, Josh, because I was thinking after we played our Alpha Strike game, I was actually thinking, how could I use this in one of my campaigns to get bigger battles done faster, so the players can not only have their individual glory with the small unit tactics, but also be part of a larger battle. And I think Alpha Strike, introducing Alpha Strike to the campaign might be the way to go. And in which case, yeah, the quirks still work.
On.
Yeah.
What's another layer?
Okay, here's the other thing that I was thinking about, and you're going to love this, Josh. You're going to hate it. Josh is going to hate this. I was thinking about trying to introduce quirks into the missions campaigns.
If you've got just your one mech, I think quirks are, if they affect the gameplay part,
difficult to maintain, prototype, obsolete.
Well, that's just it. Is it you do have to pay for repairs, and that stuff would matter a little bit.
It would.
It would matter, not a whole lot, but just a little bit. But that's the problem, though, is that who is keeping track of all this? Me. And that's what I don't want.
Me.
Yeah, I could definitely see that the DM not wanting to have to keep track of all of this. Like, okay, who's got EM interference? Who's got,
If everyone was honest and they kept track of it as well, and when I did something and they did something in the mission to say, hey, this isn't going to work for me because I fired this weapon, and now that means my ECM doesn't work for the next turn. I need a group that is much better with the core rules before we start introducing these sort of things. Else, the games are going to take 8 to 10 hours.
No, I agree. I have to caveat, because you've mentioned it, I would rather see design quirks in a game than special pilot abilities.
I think they go hand in hand in a lot of ways.
Yes. Okay, so I need if I'm going X far, I'm going to want to hit design quirks. And then, like, one step later, it's special pilot abilities. Like, there.
Do you think, like, this is my mission series is still a work in progress. Do you think that I should roll back SPAs and introduce quirks first?
I would just say do both. If you're going to do one, you might as well do the other. Because one, you're talking about your pilot, which is a whole separate. You can customize it that way. And on another side, you have design quirks. And rather than being in the simulators and working on his piloting skill, he was down in the Mechbay working on his large laser, and now it's an inaccurate weapon because he rolled bad that morning.
Yeah, because being that the quirks are in the Battle Mech manual, it would be very easy to introduce those, because I wouldn't have to tell people to buy a different book.
Yep.
Like the special pilot abilities, you have to get campaign operations, or I think Alpha Strike Commander's Edition has them as well. But yeah, so it's a whole nother book that people would have to get. Ooh, now I'm thinking about things.
No, I mean, people on our Discord wanted us to talk about quirks, and I've spent 2 weeks thinking, okay, I haven't played with quirks, and why haven't I played with quirks? And I was like, okay, because people want to go with SPA, special pilot abilities, before design quirks. I was like, why is that? You have to think about it a little bit.
That's a good question. I don't know why I didn't introduce them both at the same time in missions, except for I've played with them before, so I knew it was going to slow things down a little.
Mm.
Maybe I'm just afraid of that.
I mean, everything slows it down.
It does. Everything. But SPAs are like all positives. There aren't any negative SPAs. Mm-hmm. But then again, when we talked about this with the Discord, people wanted to us to talk about quirks, and I think special pilot abilities is going to be a different podcast. So
yeah, like I said, there's the fix your mech, then there's the fix your pilot.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of a chassis acting in a certain way. I just love that idea.
Flavor.
Yep, I love that a Jenner can't torso twist because it doesn't have a torso. I just love that.
Correction, it doesn't have a hip.
It's super inconvenient when you're playing the game, especially if you forget about it and the DM's like, you can't torso twist there. But I love the flavor that it brings because it matches the picture, or it matches the fluff in the TRO. And like I said, Dustin, remember, like that's how we got new mechs when I was learning how to play Battletech. We didn't see them online. We bought the new TRO and we read the book. And so we got all that fluff. Like, a lot of people now don't read the fluff at all, and that bothers me a little.
Bro, there's fluff to this? I thought this was a board game.
There's so much fluff. So fluffy.
Very fluffy.
I know I'm starting to sound a little bit like Dustin talking about how the game makes me feel, but Dustin may actually be onto something because there is a lot of feeling.
So we mentioned, some mechs, like the Jenner doesn't have torso twist. So what are some mechs that are completely crippled by Design Quirks.
In my opinion, none of them.
Who put the Vindicator down here?
I did, because...
Are you thinking of the Javelin? Because the Javelin's overbalanced.
Well, I had to go look up the Vindicator because I love the Vindicator. I'm like, why doesn't my boy have torso twists? He looks like he could.
Oh.
He's a bipedal humanoid mech, but I guess his waist doesn't exist, kind of.
Not just no torso twist, but difficult ejection, because if you get hit, there's a chance of taking more damage on the way out.
I hear there's a pill for that.
Oh,
does have rugged though.
It does have rugged. 1 point of rugged.
We'll get into what are these not all of them. Like, obviously there are so many of them. You know, I recommend you pick up your Battle Mech manual and you read through them, see what you like, see what you don't. Better yet, see what your favorite mech has, and start thinking about that, because I think that's what we should do. I think we should go over a couple mechs and what their design quirks are, and talk about our few of our favorites
or least favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, so we all picked like 2 or 3, 4 quirks we wanted to talk about and how they made us feel, and why I think they should be in the game, the mechs that use them, how it can like improve something. So we're just going to go down the list alphabetically. Denham, you've got which one first? You
wanted us to pick our favorite ones. I don't know if I have favorite ones.
I wouldn't say favorite. I would just say interesting. Ones that speak to you.
Oh, yeah. This isn't interesting. This is just overpowered. I started picking, for the positive ones, a couple that were super overpowered. Battle Computer gives the side that has the battle computer, like the Cyclops. Cyclops has a battle computer in it. And if your pilot is conscious in that, then you get a +2 to your initiative roll. And as we know, initiative wins games.
+2.
Yeah. I mean, if you're playing against Josh and you have +2, there is no way he will ever get initiative.
It's true. It hurts. It hurts so bad.
I do like the battle computer. There are other ones, like the command mech is also pretty similar, but it only gives you a +1 to initiative. But that's also a 2, the difference between a 2 and a 5 for cost. Did we talk about cost? Like we said, they weren't based on battle value.
Yeah,
there is a little bit of a balancing system. Yeah,
it is, but it's a fake balancing system, in my opinion. Like, you have a cost, you have
it's real
positive cost. Yeah, you have a positive cost for positive quirks, a negative cost for negative quirks. The existing mechs, I don't think they looked at cost at all. They weren't trying to balance them. They just threw them on there.
Canon mechs do not have to equal positive to negative.
Correct. But if you're designing your own mech, they never say you have to. They say they highly suggest you take the same number of negative design quirks as you do positive, just so that, you don't make the uber mech. But there's no one stopping you from doing it. You can
put 12 searchlights on my mech and nothing's going to stop me.
Right, but to keep things more interesting, it's better if when designing your own chassis, your own brand new chassis, that you try to balance out positive quirks with negative quirks.
And a trailer hitch.
But it doesn't. Yeah, it's super not about balance at this point. It's not. But I agree. Like, you should not just have positive quirks on your custom design mechs. You should not.
Right.
So, battle computer adds +2 to initiative. That's pretty overpowered. That costs 5. Yeah, that costs 5 points. Command mech costs 2 points. So 2 points would give you a +1 to initiative. 5 points gives you a +2 to your initiative. They do not stack. So if you have a battle computer in a command mech, it is not a +3. Does not stack.
But I can definitely at least see, like, okay, I'm picking a mech for our 4 versus 1 campaign DM game, D&D style, essentially. I need to bring something to the table. Oh, instead of just bringing, another AC-20 to the AC-20 party, I'm the command mech. I'm the guy who gives everyone a chance to move, after the enemy does. That completely changes the way you're playing. It makes the mech itself feel like much more useful, and like there's a whole like team synergy if you're playing it that way.
I like team synergy a lot.
And I feel like you get more team synergy with quirks.
Yeah, because I like options, and these both give and take away options, which it's fun. It's another piece of the puzzle, and I love puzzles. All right, Josh. Well, you're next. If we're going down the list,
I figured if you're doing the battle computer, I have to do the combat computer.
Another computer.
The other computer.
Yeah, but this is a very different computer.
Quote, an advanced combat computer can manage heat levels more efficiently than standard computers. The total heat generated by the unit each turn is reduced by 4 to a minimum of 0. And if you're doing Alpha Strike, you get a free reduce overheat by 1 point each turn, which I know that you wish your catapult had that in our intro game.
My catapult, my ShadowHawk. Yeah.
Anti-mech attacks with heat. So good. Yeah, no, that's just four heat sinks. Like,
which when you've got single heat sinks and a stalker, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. Just like the battle computer, like a +2 initiative, a -4 heat. It's a big deal in the early mechs.
Yeah. I mean, like the stalker is the big one that leapt out to me. Like, okay, he's good on heat, but he's not great. Like if he wants to open up with all the medium lasers and the SRM-6s, he's generating a lot of heat. Well, the whole combat computer just says you can shoot an SRM-6 for free, but it's also super simple. There's no synergy. Like you get exactly what you see.
Yeah, and that's 3 points. I don't know what their calculations are. I know somebody balanced all this in their head at one point. I don't know how well it holds up. And to be more importantly, I don't care. Like if I'm playing Quirks, I'm not worried. Oh, is this too overpowered? I don't care. I'm just there to have fun at that point.
I have to agree.
Because Dustin likes the weirder stuff. Let's switch back to you, Denham. You want to talk to us about exposed weapon linkage?
So not only are some of these very positive, like the battle computer and the combat computer, but sometimes it's negative. Like this next one that I wanted to highlight was the Legionnaire mech is just a giant Rack 5 on legs. And one of its quirks is it has an exposed weapon linkage. So if you look at the picture in the book, you see that big arcing the ammo feed that goes into this giant Rack 5. Well, apparently, you might be able to shoot that. So an exposed weapon linkage, which is -2 points, if you get hit on the location that weapon is contained in, you have to roll a 2d6. And on a 10+, that weapon is unable to fire for the remainder of the game.
Oh, man.
So, it basically shot your ammo feed, and now what are you going to do?
At least it's not like a little ammo explosion. That would be...
Well, there are other ones that have that, yes.
But wait, it gets worse.
Yeah,
that first level of worse.
Yeah, there are ones that if you hit it and you roll on a 10+, it stops working, and on a 12, it actually like detonates the ammo that's in the chamber. I forget exactly which one that is, but that's not the exposed linkage. But yeah, there's all kinds of bad stuff that can happen. Exposed weapon linkage. Not fun if you get hit in that torso, like a bunch of a bunch of SRMs or an LB-10X, that can ruin your day, especially if you're a Legionnaire with only one weapon anyway.
Hope you ain't playing with force withdrawal, kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we'll go back to me. I chose hyper extending actuators, and there's like 3 mechs that really come to mind. The Dervish with its weird, false elbows. Yeah. The Marauder with its weird lanky.
It's got drain pipe elbows.
Drain pipe elbows. And yours, the Nodachi, Denham.
My mech just likes to stretch really well before combat. So that's why he can do it. It's very flexible. So
hyperextending actuators allow a mech to flip its arms into the rear arc even with lower arm and or hand actuators, which would normally prohibit this action. And Alpha Strike may make an attack of a third of its standard value, rounding down into the rear arc. So does that mean that the Nodachi can use his hatchet on someone in his rear arc? Technically, yes. If playing with design quirks, then, all rules are... Well, I guess he's only got weapons on his left arm, so it's the same thing. So, okay. A mech can only torso twist once. Yes. Per turn. So if I torso twist
to the left and fire my left arm behind me in a regular mech, I can't then torso twist to the right and use my hatchet on a mech directly behind me.
You're arm twisting.
Well, no, that's just it. Is it normal? Like I'm saying, in a normal mech that does not have hyper
I would argue
actuators.
that that's not a torso twist, so you can twist your arms. So if you were in the front, you could just flip its arms.
What I'm saying is that with hyperextending actuators, I could do this.
Yes.
Don't but without them, I could not. Yeah, it's like I say, like in if I was playing a role-playing game, I would 100% allow my players to do that. 100% because
break
cool
the arm
factor.
With the elbow, and now it's 90 degrees the other direction, folks.
Super flexible.
But
but I like to see my players exceed or fail in brilliant ways. That's what I like.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just silly. Like this one's just silly. It's not arm twisting. It's not arm flipping. It's arm twisting. Like, but in the direction no one wants arms to twist.
Yeah, it would look very disturbing.
All right, that's enough of me and Denham just joking around. What you got, Dustin?
So I picked the Timberwolf, and it has improved targeting in the medium range bracket. Improved targeting, you can take it up to 3 times once per range bracket, and you get 1 positive point for every time you do that. So you can't stack them all up into the same bracket, but you can give your mech -1 at short, medium, and long range. But yeah.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah. And I picked this one because the Timberwolf is an iconic 75-ton clan beast, but in the lore, it's just oppressive. And this kind of helps it even more.
Be oppressive.
Feel that oppressive brawler.
The Timberwolf A has 2 ERPPCs and 3 medium pulse lasers.
Hey, Innersphere scum, you're talking a lot of smack for somebody within 12 hexes.
This comes by default on a Timberwolf chassis.
Yeah,
and it's it's so vicious. It kind of makes Aiden Pride's little last stand makes a lot more sense if everyone is at medium range.
That's right. So it's got that speed. It's girthy. Now it slaps around in the medium range bracket, which is easily obtained.
Oh, very
in the clan machines. And this one comes in cheap. It's just one positive point because it only has the -1 in medium range. So
only
yeah,
that's so powerful. So powerful.
Super powerful. No, I agree. Yeah.
So you're talking about the Timberwolf in medium. I know the Direwolf has it in long, and
it does. The Direwolf and the Masakari with those 4 ERPPCs and a targeting computer and a -1 at long range. Yeah.
Or the C with large pulse lasers. Can you imagine -3?
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's not pretty.
So yeah. So I don't like this one.
If I was like a GM, you'd throw, it's 30-50. The clans are invading. Your battle computer's going. Is it a Mad Cat? Is it a Timber? Oh, you're dead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You're dead.
So yeah, I just like it. It leans into the fluff here. Yeah, and I like that.
Yep. And another broken one, in my opinion, is the narrow/low profile ability.
Yeah.
That is on mechs like the Dasher, like the Adder, like the Cauldron Born. That's a bigger one with it because it's so narrow. Any of the like the Vulture, any of those that have that helicopter-ish like appearance. The Urban Mech even has it. What it does is that if the margin of success for a weapon attack made against it is a 0 or 1, so if I need an 8 to hit it, and I hit it with an 8 or a 9, that automatically makes it a glancing blow. And what that does is it only inflicts half the normal damage. So if you get hit with an AC 10, but you hit it exactly or by 1, then it's only 5 points of damage. And it stacks if you're using the tactical operations glancing blow rules, which are the same thing. So then you'd only do a quarter of it. You do 3 points of damage. It has no effect versus physical attacks, falls, or streak. Streak missiles are still going to do full damage because they're locked on.
They're locked on, baby.
Right. But it's an overpowered, broken. Like it actually makes the Urban Mech last so much longer. So much longer.
This trash can's never dying.
Yeah. I do like it. I like playing around with that one. That is one that I used the last time I played. I played with them in Mega Mech. So because I had an adder running around, couldn't torso twist, but it also only took half damage from
just about everything.
Yeah.
I still like that more than medium. Improved target.
I think that one. Yeah, it's hard to.
These are all feelings things.
Yes, yes, exactly.
I feel like narrow low profile is probably nastier than the
one is the throwing damage, the other one's the receiving damage.
Yeah, right.
The last thing I need though is something with improved targeting and narrow low profile. It's like I can hit you better. You hit me worse.
Yeah.
All right, Dustin, what you got next?
Well, we were talking about my Vindicator. So I picked not the Vindicator, the Locust, because I've actually played with a Locust with this quirk, and that is no torso twist. Some mechs designs lack the flexibility to twist at the waist. That would be our Vindicator, or don't possess a waist to twist. That would be the older version of the Locust. The new one kind of has it looks like it can torso twist, the new plastic sculpt. But anyways, a mech with this quirk cannot torso twist. I hate this quirk so much.
It doesn't seem like it would be that big a deal, because I remember the first time I played with one, I'm like, torso twist, whatever. Like that's not that big a deal. It is a big deal. It is a huge deal.
Such a huge deal. This cripples the mech.
Yeah, especially for a Locust. Like you can't circle strafe. Like you can't. No. You can't do it. It's hard.
Now the Locust can flip its arms and shoot into the rear arc, but it still turns it from something that can circle strafe into
you do not want anything in the rear arc of a Locust either.
No, of course not. But yeah, this is I would, if I was playing a campaign, because this is where I've encountered quirks and played with them, I would avoid mechs with no torso twist.
That's the beauty of the campaign, though, is when they need a new mech and they go to the shop and you're like, we've got these 3 mechs, and they're all like, these all suck. But they have to choose. And then even if they modify or upgrade it, it's part of the chassis, so they can't get away from it.
We don't have waist actuators in the periphery, son. You're gonna have to get something.
So yeah, it's a beautiful system, even though it's like it's painful in some ways, but not in others.
Yeah, this is -2. It should be worse. -3.
It should be.
I mean, it definitely just completely changes the way you play with it. And I think this is something, if you were like trying to create an op4, like a pirate or bandits, and just generic, throw a couple of these on. Like, don't make their pilots worse, because then that's, no fun. It's like, all right, give them no torso twist. Like, they've done poor maintenance on their mechs, so they can't torso. But they're
ran out of waist actuators.
But I mean, this is just one of the things you can do with quirks. Like, they're not because you're not balancing them. There's no BV cost. Just like an initiative deck, have a 3 or 4, and then just draw and all right, what's the Op4 Atlas have? Oh God, he has poor life support.
I think that's a great idea. Here's some random cards. What is the Op4 going to draw? Like the pirates who've got the crappy mechs. What goes wrong today?
Yeah.
I love it.
Speaking of what goes wrong today, what you got next, Denham?
Well, I decided for the next one to go with one of the more fun ones, not necessarily overpowered, but when I first looked through the 3050 technical readout, some of the mechs in there looked really weird, specifically the Clan Omnis with their arms up over the head, like a robber was behind them, holding them up because they have their arms way up in the air. Mm-hmm. Turns out there is a quirk for that. It is called overhead arms. And what that means is if it is standing and has line of sight to its target, a mech with overhead arms treats its arm-mounted weapons as 1 level higher when determining the effects of terrain, which also means that if it's firing at someone in partial cover, they don't get the partial cover bonuses at all from a mech firing from weapons that are up over its head, because it's firing down over the terrain. So it doesn't get the +1 to hit. It doesn't get the ignore leg hits.
So The rule says that you need line of sight, so you can't use this to like stand behind.
You can't stand behind a level 2 and fire over it. You cannot do that. No. But as far as line of sight is concerned, if you can see a mech, you ignore their partial cover unless they're at a higher elevation than you are.
Yeah, so you just count as one level higher essentially. I like that.
It was just so funny that I saw that drawing and then later I saw a quirk that addressed that drawing and I'm like, okay, sure.
It is a quirky quirk indeed. Quite quirky.
Yes. All right, how about you, Josh? You're next.
I had to do it because if I didn't, Dustin would have, and we didn't want him to talk about Prototype.
That's right.
And Prototype, like I said, Classic and Alpha Strike. Units with the Prototype quirk have a significantly increased chance of suffering critical hits as a result of rolls for critical damage. Yo, dog, I heard you like your Marauder 4X with Blazers. Or your Super Griffin.
Super Griffin. Isn't there a Super Wasp or something?
There is a Super Wasp. So, but that actually, I can see that where the Prototype would go in because, like, hey, you've got on-field tested equipment. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen? Oh, it's going to work great, like on the mech until you start taking damage. Then all the things that you haven't documented how bad it goes with it are just going to go bad. Don't you just love Prototype though, Denham? I mean, taking extra chance of critical hits.
As far as role playing goes, Prototype is a fantastic one because my players like to make their own designs and come up with their own concepts. Hey. So it's automatically a prototype. They're going to have problems. They can't just make whatever they want with no consequences. Ramifications, no consequences.
Do you hate your players though? Like, oh my God. Like, because, what? Getting crits on 8s against you guys was too hard. What about 7s?
I don't hate my players. I enjoy
crushing them in their hopes and dreams, trampled beneath me.
Extreme victories are just as entertaining as extreme failures in my mind. Remind me to tell you about the time that their entire base got nuked.
Oh,
nice.
All right, Dustin, back to you for another one that the Vindicator had.
Yeah, so we got Rugged here. So you had Prototype. I think all of the quirks we've talked about so far see action on the tabletop. I picked one that doesn't, like straight up, doesn't come into play when you're rolling dice at all. That's a lie. It comes into play when you roll dice in between the games.
Oh, yes, my favorite. Homework phase. That's what it is.
I love homework phase in games.
It's a big part of the game. When you're playing campaign. If you're not playing campaign, none of it matters. But when you are, this is important, especially Rugged.
So Rugged, some mechs are extremely reliable, reducing the frequency with which they require maintenance. The cost is 1 point if the mech can go for 2 times as long between maintenance periods as normal, and 2 points if it can go up to 3 times as long. So I picked the Victor 9B because it's like my piece of crap Scion that I don't maintain in my driveway. It never stops. It does not need maintenance checks. That makes the mech cheaper, less stress on the maintenance team. They appreciate that. The Aztecs, they're already overworked.
Yep. My ShadowHawk has that one too, and it's that common, we've only got X amount of time to repair all this, and everyone's like, forget about the ShadowHawk, he's fine.
Yeah, it's good. It's gonna work. Don't worry about it. That clanking noise, it's not gonna throw around. It'll be fine. I know it sounds bad, but it's really not. We got 400 hours on the reactor. It's been making that noise. It's good.
This Toyota Corolla of engines, like it is not going to die unless you kill it.
But yeah, not all your quirks have to be quirky while you're shooting mechs and being shot at. Some of them are for the homework phase.
Yeah, there are actually quite a few there for the homework phase. Yeah.
Back to Josh.
I'll do my last one. So you talked about, in the shooting phase. Well, I chose Sensor Ghost because I like shooting worse in the shooting phase. I had to choose another exterminator. Let's not go with the prototype one. Let's go with the one that has too much electronic warfare that it starts electronic warfare in itself. Yo, dog, I heard you like E-War. So I E-Warred your enemies while I E-Warred your targeting computer. Yeah, so nice. You shoot worse when you're attacking enemies. And I'm just like, oh, buddy, who hurt you?
Oh, it's +1 to everything?
To everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's not on all of them. It's only on the 6CS, the Comstar one that was actually pretty good because it has a chameleon, light polarization, and null signature. So once again, you throw the fancy tech on and things start getting weird.
We never expected you to put so many systems on the same chassis, sir.
But that's a great way to like justify like, hey, I'm running like all the weird fancy tech. Like, cool, great, you can do that. You can get your plus, 4 to extra to hit at long range. No one's ever going to touch you. Good luck trying to shoot back though. Your computer's like your Windows BIOS screen is like locking up like, oh God, please kill.
My mech can see color. My mech can see smells, but it's messing with the targeting system.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we got 3 Thunderbolts coming up over the ridge, and like, no, sir, no, we've only got one. Only got one. Which one do I shoot at?
I'm disappointed that nobody picked Searchlight.
It goes in the bucket of Searchlight, trailer hitch. What does each vehicle have?
I know the Warhammer has the Searchlight.
Oh yeah, Warhammer has it. The Rifleman has got 2 right there on his chest.
2? Oh boy.
Yeah.
He's got headlights.
I'm sorry, you can never make that same like motion again. Like he's got 2 searchlights on his chest. I'm pretty sure I saw that bar on Outreach. The Searchlight Saloon.
Yeah.
All right. And for your last one, you know what?
All right. For my last one, I'm going to go back to the Timberwolf. Timberwolf being one of my favorite mechs. It turns out it's not all rainbows with that one.
I mean, it's got some good rainbows because it's got medium targeting.
It does. But it does have a flaw, and that's because if you ever look at the Mini, it's got this big, huge cockpit right there in the front. It's a big arced cockpit. It's gigantic. And it's right in the exactly. It's right in the center of the mech too. So if you're aiming for center of mass, which people do, you're probably going to hit the cockpit. Mm-hmm. And to show that, it has what's called the weak head armor quirk. And this is a variable one. Like most of the time, variable says like 1 through 3 or 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
This one is just the value of this quirk is equal to the number of armor points effectively lost.
Oh, wow.
For example, a mech with 9 points of head armor, but using a 4-point version of this quirk effectively only has 5 armor points. The important part is if you're just trying to use this as a way to math the armor, because sometimes, your mech is just missing like 1 armor point to max out, but then you'd waste, 7 points of armor.
It doesn't count like that.
You
right?
can't use it like that. It's however many armor you assign to the head is minus that many. So if you only put 1 armor on this mech's head, it would have 0 armor because it has a -1 for the head armor on the Timberwolf.
I mean, let's get real. If you're putting 1 blip of armor on a mech's head, you might as well just give it weak head armor and just be like, yeah, it's actual just glass. Like, please don't fall down.
Glass.
So it's
we got the cheap glass.
With the Timberwolf, it is assigned 9 points of head armor, but it only has, like when you're playing in the game, it only has 8 points of armor. So that's how that works.
I'm trying to think how that would like help.
Help? Oh, like what kind of weapon? I'm not so much with that one. Yeah, because it's still like a 10-point weapon is still going to get that crit. There's nothing that does 13 points of damage, so it wouldn't help against an ERPPC or a Gauss rifle.
What my brain tells me is you can now just be hit by ER and large lasers. Intersphere, the one of the more common main weapons for the Intersphere, the large lasers.
Oh yeah.
The armor.
You do 8 damage. The head has no more armor. Now anything, I mean, let's get real. If you're playing with quirks, you might as well take it to the next level. Any environmental effects.
There are some bad ones for environmental effects.
I was about to say, have we gone over breaching rules yet?
I know. Oh man. Rules. You do not want to walk in water with that one.
Yeah. So that is how I feel it helps. Like, okay, now you crack the ammo and it's like, okay, is the average Mechwarrior with no I'm seeing daylight through my armor, Commander. Are they going to stick around if they got no head armor? No, they're like,
I'm out.
I'm out.
I would like to point out that the weak head armor for 1 point cancels out the improved targeting medium range. So the Timberwolf is a balanced mech.
That is correct. Yeah, they're both 1 point, and I really think that medium range +1 or -1 is way, way more important than the weak head armor. But once again, we're not here to we're not here to determine if they are in fact balanced or not.
It's roughly.
We're just here to talk about them.
We've all touched on a quirk or a couple quirks, some positives and negatives.
Yeah, there are so many more. So go read them. So many.
Read your Battle Mech manual. Yeah.
Look, I'm not here to baby bird you and digest you, 100 quirks, but there's at least one for almost every different part of the mech to make it relevant. Like if you want to do something for the arms, the head, the torso, the legs, this is how you can get weird customization for just how a mech behaves on the battlefield, not how it behaves in combat, because a large laser is a large laser. But with the quirks, that can be, the large laser you've been tweaking in between missions for 12 campaigns. Like, okay, you finally got all the lensing tuned perfectly. So I want to wrap it up with, how do we make quirks good and relevant if we don't think they are by now?
That's such a tough question, because I don't find them balanced, but like I said, I don't find that as a flaw. And other than that, I don't see anything wrong with them in general. So my answer for that is they're already good. The only way we can make them relevant is to do more RPG campaigns.
Yeah. What about you, Dustin? What are you thinking?
I like them. Maybe a more granular balancing system, I guess. But then
you want more, I don't want to say a second pass, but some of these points need adjustments.
Sure, yeah, a little balance or something. I don't know. I would be more tempted. I would say this: if I'm gonna split hairs here, I would be more tempted to roll these into my pickup games. And for me, that is the bulk of my Battletech games, is their pickup games. I'd be more tempted to bring them in if instead of 1 to 5 points, positive or negative, it was 1 to 20 or something.
Yeah.
Oof,
so you could balance
that's way too much.
It's like a secondary layer of BV on top or something. But then, would I like it after I got what I wanted? I don't know. Maybe not.
What you need, Dustin, is you need more free time. And with that free time, you need to join a role-playing campaign with me. And then you need to play we need to play this so that it matters to you on some level, and then see what you think about that afterwards.
I'll talk to you in about 12 years.
Okay.
Once my kid's in college. I will say my thought on how to make quirks good and relevant is go back and throw 5 of these on every chassis, because
it needs to be more quirky.
There needs to be more quirks applied to more mechs, because I look at intro tech, Phoenix Hawk, what does it have? Command mech, improved community. Okay, that was a bad,
I know Phoenix Hawk's got a lot. And so many of those are the original 16 mechs. I think they all have ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Well, they're tied into the fiction. So the chassis that see a lot of fictions, they see a lot of quirks.
Yeah, the more that have been written about them, the more quirks they have to apply. The
Griffin has, it can eject its PPC on its arm when it decides to brawl.
The Griffin, the Phoenix Hawk, the Battlemaster, they can all put down their weapon.
Jettison
their weapon, and then have 2 hands, and then pick up another one that's not broken. So if one got critted, but they've got another one back in the trailer, they could put that one down and then go and basically grab another one. It takes a little bit longer than them just picking it up to get another one on, but it takes almost no time compared to how long it would take to replace, say, a Warhammer's PPC in its arm if it got damaged.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. You got other ones like the Spider, who can jump and not in straight lines.
Oh my god!
But they also can't eject.
Yeah.
So they have the 0 ejection system.
Yeah, the Spider always +4 to hit when you jump, right?
I don't know. It's just hard to hit them. That's the whole thing.
The Black Knight, it just has command mech.
True. You think it should have a lot more, but that's it.
Yeah.
Even the Highlander at least has cowl as well.
Yeah.
The Black Knight needs the cockpit misting fan quirk for the pilot.
Once again, the Ace Ventura worm in this Rhino. You're just tapping it as it shuts down. But your Blackjack, Dustin, just has bad reputation Inner Sphere.
Yeah.
Which is funny that even back then they're like, people hate this mech for no, like, it's not a bad mech, but people hate it.
It gets a rap because it was a citizen nuker, right?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, and things like that, like bad reputation, definitely important in the role playing games because it means that it's sold for half price. But, and this is important, it does not affect the price at which players purchase a new mech. So you would still have to pay full price to purchase it. But when selling it, you're only going to get half of the selling price. So it's like whatever a normal selling price is for a mech, you only get half of that.
Oh, that's
but depending on the era, it can change a mech from bad reputation, and then it can get rid of that. Like that is something that can go away in certain eras.
Yeah. So like I said, that's probably my big issues because the first 16, the originals, they definitely had like let's give these guys loving TLC and care. And then it's like the second wave of mechs. They might have 1 or 0 or 2 that are just seem like, okay, you really didn't need that 1.
Now you got me looking at all these. I like the Enforcer. It has 3 that are dedicated to its AC-10, fast reload, improved cooling jacket, and ammunition feed problem. All and barrel.
This AC-10 is so awesome until it isn't, and then kaboom. But like bad reputation is -1 point, and good reputation is 0 points. Like that's you don't get anything for good reputation.
I think that's my way to get more people playing with quirks is to give more mechs quirks. Like, I don't want to treat these as like special rules for mechs. Like, yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, these are all command mechs. Cool. Like, but I can't do anything in game or something like that. Like, give me like improved targeting or improved sensors or extended torso twists. There's like a fun factor. And you have to take that into account. Like, some quirks are more fun and some quirks are just, okay, that might come up once if you're electing to use it.
I like that they're tied to chassis, so you can't really do anything about them.
Chassis and variants. Some variants get really weird. Like
it's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I think later on they started applying them to variants, but to begin with, it was just to the chassis. So like if you had a mech that had a faulty ammo feed, you could not have that weapon mounted on that chassis. But if you ever put that weapon back on, it would have that same ammo feed, no matter what parts you used or how many times you repaired it. Like it's just a fundamental part of how you have to feed the ammo to the weapon with that chassis. It's just not going to work properly.
We have the Wolverine, which is a command mech, has extended torso twist, improved communications, jettison-capable weapon, AC-5, protected actuators, ubiquitous, and cramped cockpit. I think I found the mech with the most quirks.
It is a lot.
It has 3 lines on the battle mech manual. 3.
So I think the key is find an original like 16. Try those out with quirks. If you like those, stick with those. Yeah, those are the quirky ones.
I feel bad for the Wolverine, though, because it has a cramped cockpit that's also the command mech. So, the guy spending most of his time in there is just all like, God, this sucks.
Yeah, I've got a command computer, but I got to use a mirror and reach over my left arm with my right, or my left shoulder with my right arm, and boop, 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 boop.
Yes.
All right. Anyone else got any closing thoughts on quirks?
I like them, obviously. Like I've said before, not for tournaments. But I really like the role-playing aspect of this game, so I would like to see quirks used more, so I'm really happy that they put them in the Battle Mech manual. And I know that from technical readout prototypes and on, they include the quirks in there. But for the ones that are listed in the Battle Mech manual. So all your classic mechs are listed in there starting on like page 90.
Yeah.
Just starts listing older TRO battle mechs and what all their quirks are. So the information is out there for us. It's just up to us to use them and see what we think.
Dustin, in our pickup games, let's use quirks.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Legionnaire. Oh, the ammo feed's busted. Oh no.
Okay.
My Wolverine is a flexible combat machine.
Oh God.
It has extended torso twist.
Oh, so does the Urban Mech. The Urban Mech's got the low profile and extended torso. It just spins around in a little circle.
But the Wolverine, why does the Wolverine deserve extended torso twist?
It's just so flexible. It stretches.
Lots of stretches.
He does yoga.
Yeah.
All I can think about is the Iron Man 2, the hammer drone, when they're like bringing out the test prototypes, and he like does the twist, and he's like 360. And he's like, oh god, piloting damage. All right.
I love it.
Anyone or you want to send us home?
Okay, you can find the Mechbay podcast at gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook and Discord, and a special thank you to our patrons. Don't forget to flush your coolant every 3 months or 3,000 rounds.
Thanks for listening to the Mechbay podcast. Until then, keep rolling 12s. And remember, through salvage, all things are possible.